What is going on, guys? Rewinds here, and in this video I'm going to be bringing you guys my review for Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Manga chapter number 23. And if you guys have been following, Boruto 2 Blue Vortex's manga the last few months, you know that gradually we've been picking up a lot of steam, especially these last, I want to say 3 months or 4 months. Slowly we've been getting to more and more hype stuff, especially since the Manga Kill Sharingan chapter with Sarda, and then going from there to this whole Boruto versus Jura fight, and now to chapter 23 where Kawaki has arrived on the scenes as well with his limiters removed. There's honestly been some really crazy stuff that's happened, and it's going to be interesting to see how they keep up the hype in chapter 24, because I really do believe they're going to be able to do so, and I'm excited to see what happens. But let's talk about chapter 23. This chapter was titled The Strong, and makes sense, I mean, considering everyone that was really involved in the chapter. The solo cover this month is of Jura, and I was seeing some people were saying online that it seems like the pose that's used in the cover page is a pose that was inspired by JoJo, so I guess that's what it's based off of. I did see that it got a little bit of a mixed reception because Jura's doing kinda an interesting pose considering that he's the main villain. Me personally, I didn't really, dislike the cover or anything like some others did, or love it either, but we know how Ikimoto is. Ikimoto has made some good solo covers. He's also made some great ones. I still don't think he's made a bad one, so I didn't really think it was too big of a deal. But I know some people seem to have some issues with it. But moving on from that, the chapter kicks off with Konohamaru arriving to where Mitski's at, who is now in Sage mode and has defeated some Claw Grimes. This could be, a little opportunity for the anime possibly to expand on that if they want to add in a little bit more runtime. That could be one of those instances, I feel. Mitski pretty much shares Araya's whereabouts and a lot of what just happened to Konohamaru, and Konohamaru says he feels bad about Yodo, but that these divine trees require this level of resolve, and that she'd at least be happy that they got the bulbs. So, yeah, I mean, you could tell Konohamaru cares a bit, but at the end of the day, the mission is the most important thing, and trying to stay focused on that is more important, so nobody, is really getting too sentimental about it yet. I am going to be interested to see, of course, though, what Shinki's reaction will be ultimately, if they can get him back, especially learning that Yodo died for him to bring him back. I wonder how that's going to hit him. And we'll see how it hits Araya, too, and potentially Gaara. There'll be some interesting stuff to come for sure. So, Konohamaru says the mission isn't over yet, and Mitsuki's pretty much asking him what Jura's target is. Konohamaru says that Matsuri was about to kill him, but then Boruto came in with a big save, and Jura says that, Konohamaru says that Jura basically showed up afterwards to kill Boruto, and it seems like, from what Konohamaru has gauged, that killing Boruto is of higher importance to Jura than retrieving his companion's Thorn Soul bulbs. And Mitsuki's pretty much suggesting now for both of them to go and help Boruto, and Konohamaru ends up saying no to this because the mission was to secure the Thorn Soul bulbs, and that Boruto is aware of that fact as well, and that's what ultimately allowed Konohamaru to escape. So, good stuff here to keep Mitsuki on track by Konohamaru, because at the end of the day, it is a big mission. You don't want to rush in there, even if it is to save Boruto. You want to succeed in your main mission, and you got to know when you're outmatched, because let's be honest, Konohamaru and Mitsuki aren't really doing much to Jura. Maybe that can change with some sort of crazy power-ups down the line, but I don't know. Probably not, though. But next, Konohamaru says that their next destination is the initial rendezvous point, and Konohamaru says that Boruto has a plan and that they gotta trust him. So we then cut over to the battlefield where Boruto has now sustained an injury that just ended up missing a vital spot, and Jura's pretty much thinking if it's better to use his sniper tail beast bombs at Boruto, or rather close range blasting attacks against Boruto instead. Kinda a little bit more, I guess, like a shotgun. So seems like Jura seems to be big on like this whole tail beast bomb attack thing. It's just a matter of if he prefers the sniper way or like closer range attacks at this point. The fight's continuing on for a while, and Boruto's mostly dodging. He does try to attack with his sword at one point, and he does end up cutting part of Jura's leg off, which was huge, you know. I think that caught him off guard, and Jura did say he was impressed. But even then, Boruto did realize that he's still outmatched overall, though, strength-wise. And he pretty much ends up using Purple Lightning on Jura when Jura grabbed him for a second, and that got him loose from that. However, Jura just responded to everything there by saying Boruto is getting overall sluggish. So, feels like in Jura's eyes, it's still a one-sided battle. Jura then says that it may be faster to clobber Boruto to death now rather than hit him with the tail beast bombs. So, after that, we shift back over to Konohamaru and Mitski, who have now made it to their destination. And then we have a little page of that, and then after that we cut back over to Jura, who is beating down on Boruto for the next couple of pages. And we then see Ada and Koji's perspective on it a little bit too. Ada's pretty much saying that at this rate Boruto will be killed, but right then Koji starts getting an update. So that involves his presence technique, and that technique is pretty much, I guess how it works is he gets an update from it every once in a while rather than being able to use it at will. So it shows us that there is a little bit of a limitation for it, but cool stuff there because it shows us a couple new things to possibly look forward to. One of the updates that's shown is Inojin at one point, and it seems like he's using his mind transfer jutsu, but in a way perhaps where maybe he's even using it crazy like how Ino did during the 4th Great Ninja War, which would be some cool stuff to see. And it also shows you that I guess Inojin recovered nicely from that big injury he sustained against Jura. We also have a panel where Jura is holding his eye. We have another one where Boruto is shown on the ground, and a random one of Himawari as well. And then Koji's just looking at it, and he says, "No way." And Jura is surprised to see at this moment that Boruto is still even breathing. And even then, he's unconsciously holding his master's blade. That's an aspect I really, really liked in this chapter. Overall, this chapter was just really, really hyped to begin with. And I liked how things progressed on a couple different fronts. You know, we kept it moving, we kept it exciting. If there was one critique I would have, I wish that a couple of the action pages were a little bit better, because there's a couple of action pages, if you look, where, you know, stuff looks pretty solid and looks like it could be animated nice. And they could probably animate everything good, of course, but there are some parts of it that felt like they're kind of just doing like a little bit of more throwaway stuff on the pages, where the fight's not the easiest to follow. You can still follow it, but it's not, I want to say, the most visually appealing to see, like, straightforward, if that makes sense. So on the art end, overall it was solid, but I do think we could have used a little bit of improvements on a few of those like middle panels of this fight in this chapter. But that would be like my main critique for it if I had to come up with one. And as Boruto's holding his master's blade, so Sasuke's blade right there, which again, great moment, Jura ends up saying that out of respect, he'll wipe out Boruto with a single blow. Right then, though, Jura gets stabbed through his right eye with a rod from behind. And this was definitely the most hype part of the chapter, especially if you saw the spoilers when they were coming out. This was some pretty insane stuff. I mean, I know we could have predicted that Kawaki was going to probably interfere just based off of some stuff that was set up a couple chapters ago. But the way he made this grand entrance and he's standing above him too, it was just really cold. And I think it was just really, really cool to see Kawaki get a moment to finally shine in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex like this. And Kawaki pretty much ends up saying, "This isn't enough to kill you. You really are a monster." Ada is surprised to see Kawaki on the battle scene. And Koji says that new visions for the first time in 6 days is what he just got. And then we got a little bit more stuff that was teased as well, because we saw a little bit more of the presence. And we pretty much see Hidari versus Sarada. And it seems like Hidari's reaching over either for Sarada's eye to steal them, or he's doing the classic Itachi to Sasuke tap on the forehead. I don't know which one it's going to be of the two, but it's just really good to know that we're going to get that kind of rematch at some point. We also see one where Jura's back at the hideout, and then we see the Bug Shinju, which I think his name is Mamushi. I might be wrong, but we see him fighting perhaps as well. What could be really cool there is I feel like that Shinju would be really cool to get matched up with Damon in a fight. I feel like that would be a good way to bring Damon back into the scene. But yeah, Koji then said he's never seen a possibility where Kawaki's involvement is there. So that's interesting that he never saw that in any of his futures. Maybe, I guess, Kawaki in most realities didn't get his limiters removed in time, or just didn't get it removed at all. So this might have just not been something that Koji saw as like anything plausible. So then Koji realizes, dang, Boruto must have done something without, like, asking him, which, hey, look at that. In this way, it really worked out. This might have been what saved Boruto ultimately in this battle. We then see Mitsuki and Konohamaru again, who are at the location they're supposed to be at now, at the rendezvous point, where Delta ends up showing up. And that's like one of the surprises too. It's pretty cool that Delta pulled up to make sure they're safe. And we know Delta is a strong character as well, so just more reinforcements if needed. Kawaki versus Jura then begins, and Kawaki ends up hitting Jura with some rods. Felt very Jigen-like, his attack there, and I thought that was pretty awesome stuff, like for the panels. Jura then ends up getting those rods off and launches a tail beast bomb at him, which Kawaki dodges, and then we get a big explosion after that. Kawaki then comes by Boruto and tells him to wake up. Boruto tells Kawaki that you're late. Jura is questioning how Kawaki's power is exponentially greater now than when he pulled up to the village. Kawaki tells Boruto he better hold it together or that he'll kill him on the spot, and Boruto tells him to ignore him and just do it. And to end off the chapter, we have Kawaki activating his karma, and that's the cliffhanger for the chapter, leading on to chapter number 24, where Kawaki's going to be in his karma fighting Jura. And this seems like it's a must-needed thing too, especially since Kawaki told Boruto, you better hold it together or I'll take you out too. But it shows you that even though Kawaki in his base is probably a lot stronger right now, him taking out Jura is still going to require the karma. And this sets up some interesting stuff of if Momoshiki is going to make an appearance in the next chapter, which is something I'm going to be pretty excited to see, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will as well. So, great setup for next chapter. Overall, really great chapter for this month too. A lot of hype and a decent bit of plot movement, I'd say, for, compared to what we were getting last month. And last month was honestly a banger of an action chapter too. This chapter for me is going to range from a 9.5 to a 10. Really top tier chapter. I think last month I gave last month's chapter a 9.5 to a 10 as well, but looking back at it, it might be more like a 9.5. Still really great, but I felt this month's was better. But my favorite chapter still, I want to say the last 5 months, has probably been the Mangekyo Sharingan one with Sarada and then Boruto making that grand entrance at the end to save Konohamaru from Matsuri. That's what I think that is the best one so far. But honestly, last 3 chapters have all been very top tier, all really hype. But yeah, I'd probably rank it as chapter 21 being my favorite, 23 being my second favorite, just a little bit behind 21, and then 22 being third after that. But overall, great stuff. Boruto still has its streak, like I've been saying every month. 2 Blue Vortex, no bad chapters yet, even to now, and hopefully we keep that streak going. I'm excited to see what happens next month in this fight. Maybe we'll see Kawaki versus Jura happen and Boruto actually teams up with them, or maybe Momoshiki will take over and Momoshiki will attack both of them, or maybe Momoshiki will see Jura as the bigger threat and team up with Kawaki. We'll end up seeing. It'll be exciting stuff nonetheless. But that's going to wrap up my review for this one. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you guys did, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you guys are new. And as always, I hope you guys have a good day or night whenever you guys are watching this video. I'm Rewinds, and I'm out.